6 ways to not suck. I'm going to talk about 6 tips from Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People. Apply these principles and people everywhere you go will like you. Hi friend. Welcome to the channel. Tip 1. Become interested in other people. Sitting inside of a packed dub stage in the basement of Boston's Berklee College of Music, Alan Meyerson, Hans Zimmer's prolific engineer and score mixer, was taking questions. I've never been interested in questions that were easily found on Google. I want the behind the scenes. I was asking Alan questions about how some of his most famous movies were made, the daunting scale of Hollywood blockbuster films, and some industry gossip. I wanted a view into his world, listening to what he was saying just as much as what he wasn't. 3 years later in Santa Monica, I was assisting Alan on a score mix for Denis Villeneuve's Dune. Having the courage to ask questions and the willingness to see the world through his perspective left a lasting impression. When speaking with someone, try to find what you genuinely find interesting about the person. If you are listening and paying attention, you'll always find something curious. Become genuinely interested in other people. Tip number 2. Smile. I've personally never been much of a smiley person, but I try my best to surround myself with the smiliest people I could find. They radiate an energy that just can't be faked. There's something about the positivity and the enthusiasm that it carries with it that makes life just a little bit more tolerable. If you aren't a smiley person, try to practice it. In the meantime, surround yourself with vibrant people, and it'll be hard not to smile. Tip number 3. Remember that a person's name is the most important and sweetest sound to that person in any language. I was sitting anxiously inside of a Philadelphia church on a snowy day. I was waiting to be called for the interview portion of my college audition. 4 months earlier, inside of a Hilton hotel, there was a college fair for all the students in the Philadelphia area. I was interested in one particular college, Berklee College of Music. There was a lone man at the table working for Berklee. After interacting with him for a while, asking some questions, I took his business card and went on my way. Lying on my bed in my childhood home, I was struck with the sense that I would see the same man again. I rummaged through my desk looking for his business card, and I found it. His name was Scott. I wrote it down multiple times so I would internalize it, doing anything I could do to try to remember his name. Back in the church the next day, as I walked into the interview room, I saw the same man. It was Scott. I introduced myself as an old friend would, using his name and special emphasis on it. He seemed a bit taken aback, flustered even. He inquired why I knew his name and asked if we had met before. I told him about our interaction at the college fair a few months prior. That satisfied his curiosity, and the rest of the interview went off without a hitch. It turned a potentially grueling college admissions interrogation into a hang with an old friend. A few months later, I received my letter of admission to the school. The most powerful thing you can do is remember someone's name, especially if it isn't something that's socially required. If you forget somebody's name and they remember yours, you're at a massive disadvantage in the conversation. That item is uniquely and completely that person's. Tip number 4. Be a good listener and encourage other people to talk about themselves. The worst type of conversation is when 2 people are talking past each other. Growing up, with half my family being New Jersey Italians, the name of the game is who can tell the loudest, craziest, fastest story. Otherwise, nobody wants to pay attention whatsoever. But this isn't communicating. It's just theatrics. There isn't an exchange of knowledge when there's 2 people talking as loud and as fast as they can past each other. You almost don't even need the other person to be present for that to happen. You're really just talking to yourself. If you aspire to be a competent conversationalist, be an attentive listener. To be interesting, be interested. Ask questions that the other person would like to answer. Encourage them to talk about themselves and their accomplishments. And remember that people are 100 times more interested in themselves and their problems than they are in you and your problems. Search through the other person's personality until you find something that's interesting to you, and then encourage that person to talk about it. Ernest Hemingway once said, "Listen now. When people talk, listen completely. Don't think about what you're going to say. Most people never listen, nor do they observe." Number 5, talk in terms of other people's interests. Try to find an intersection between what you want to listen to and learn about and what they want to talk about. If you're planning on meeting with someone new, spend some time to do research on how they spend their time and what inspires them. This is a time to become agreeable. If you're talking to somebody who has a boat, talk to them about their boat. Ask them how they got it, why they got it, how it works, and what they have to do to keep it running, and how they like to spend their time with that boat. It pays dividends for both parties, because you get to learn something new, and they get to talk about one of their favorite topics. Number 6, make the other person feel important, and do it sincerely. During a hike, I told my close friend Randy that I admired his sense of humor, and that I wished I could be just a little bit as funny as I thought he was. I genuinely meant that when I said it, and I think it really strengthened the bonds of of our friendship when I did. And he also confided in me that I also had qualities he admired as well. Make sure you remind people that you care about what their genuine qualities are and what they're really good at. It's not always so obvious to them. And always try to make sure that everyone feels appreciated if they're doing you a service. It isn't so obvious from a first person point of view why you're so special, and it's really nice to have somebody else affirm that for you. What do we learn? Be genuinely interested in other people. Smile. Remember that a person's name is to them the sweetest, most important sound in the world. Be a good listener and encourage other people to talk about themselves. Talk in terms of other people's interests. And number 6, make the other person feel important and do it sincerely. Thank you so much for watching. If you would like to watch more, please click here for my latest video and subscribe to the channel. Thank you.